With seasonal allergies, their knowledgeable team will guide you through options that may help with pollen-induced sniffles and watery eyes. Find your nearest CBD American Shaman location today and discover how they can support your well-being. Or visit CBDAmericanShaman.com. CBD American Shaman, where life is better with the feather.
I'm McCall from Lee Summit Subaru, and we're committed to helping our community through the Subaru Love Promise, like our commitment to Hillcrest Transitional Housing to help solve homelessness. Lee Summit Subaru also sponsors several pet adoption clinics like Midwest Animal Rescue and events each year such as Dogtoberfest. It's all part of the Subaru Love Promise, and we're committed to helping our community fall in love with driving again at Lee Summit Subaru. LeeSummitSubaru.com.
Imagine buying your next car from one dealership.
With the support of many.
With everything you'll ever need.
When you buy from any of the Balderson Auto Group dealerships, you're getting the support from all of our dealerships.
Like our 100 service bays, collision, and detail centers.
And our free exclusive lifetime warranty. No other auto group gives you that.
From north, central, south, the Balderson Auto Group has you covered.
A family committed to
excellence, growth,
and harmony.
Go to bagkc.com.
Rod End Supply is involved with a variety of motorsports as well as industrial applications with many different types of products. Since 1989, Rod End Supply has provided superior products priced competitively. Whether you're racing at the circle track or drag strip, rock climbing, or going off-road, Rod End Supply has an assortment of rod ends, radius rods, and specialty products to keep your equipment moving. Rod End Supply's experienced staff is ready and willing to help you with your needs. Their promise is to continue to provide a superior product with superior service so you can stay in front of the field no matter what it is. To learn more, go to rodendsupply.com.
KCFX HD4 Harrisonville, K279PI Kansas City, 103.7 FM. Sports Radio 810 WHB, Kansas City.
America's largest all-sports radio station presents the #1 motorsports show for over 2 decades, Track Talk, brought to you by Rod End Supply and the Power Ride Midwest Lightning Sprints. Here are the racing boys, Scott Traylor and Kirk Elliott.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Track Talk here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. We got a lot of stories going this morning, Kirk. Let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, before we get into the big story of the week, which has to be surrounding Shark Racing and the 1-8 car that was formerly driven by Jacob Allen, who decided to retire here a couple of weeks ago. And they hired Cale Thomas, and then he got fired after 3 races. We'll get into that. And there's some other big stories floating around. But last night we saw some racing. Kyle Larson getting it done in the World of Outlaws.
Right.
At Jacksonville Raceway last night. And probably the thing that stood out to me was Carson Macedo's interview at the end of that, who finished 3rd last night, to Brady Bacon. Carson said, I don't know how Kyle did that. How did he do that?
Right.
Which explains just what talent Kyle Larson has to rip the lip at the very small Jacksonville Raceway last night and put on a show for the World of Outlaws last night. Kyle Larson coming up with the win.
Brady Bacon's not bad of a racer either, is he?
How about that? And guess what?
Right.
He's going to a track tonight that he's won the last 2 World of Outlaws races at. Tri-State Speedway in Hobstad, Indiana, Brady Bacon is going to. And after a 2nd place finish last night, he's got to be feeling really good about capping off the weekend, don't you think?
You know, I was really surprised that Brady Bacon got around Carson Macedo. Were you surprised by that?
I was surprised about that.
Right.
Yeah, but, these little bull ring racetracks, Brady's pretty good at.
Hey.
And he had the Hink number 21 on kill last night. He looked good. And when I said on kill, he didn't win because Kyle Larson was just better.
I'm thinking about going to Knoxville tonight, Kirk.
Be a good place to go.
Right.
Opening night for the weekly racing. They had a practice session at Knoxville last night.
We got the RV up there.
Yeah, so why not? You got a place to stay?
Right.
Sure. Head on up there. They had 52 cars at the practice session last night at Knoxville.
David Gravel kept his streak going. He finished in the top 5. How about that?
Well, actually, top 6. because his top 5 streak was broken here a couple of weeks ago, and he had 2 straight top 6 finishes. So he's not been out of the top 6 in 23 straight races, David Gravel. So do you think there's anybody else that can take down the points championship from David Gravel? I know it's early. I don't think so. I think David Gravel is the heavy favorite. If he continues to post top 6 finishes, he was 5th last night. He's going to be hard to beat. No question about it.
How about old Tanner Thorson picking up the win last night at Creek County?
How about that? Power Eye.
Blake Hahn runs
410
second.
feature. Yep. Jonathan Beeson led the first 14 laps of that race last night, but he just could. That's still a good finish. He finished 3rd in that race at Creek County last night, so a pretty impressive finish for Jonathan Beeson. But it was Tanner Thorson's night. Of course, he's a full-time high-limit driver, and the high limits are still off this weekend. And so he showed up. He lives down there now, doesn't he? Tanner Thorson lives in the Tulsa area. So why not head out to Creek County Speedway last night, and he picks up a pretty big win. They had a pretty good car count at Creek County last night. I see 29 cars on hand, so pretty good night for Tanner Thorson. Jonathan Beeson, as I pointed out a little bit earlier, led the first 14 laps of it, but Blake Hahn was able to get around him and finish in 2nd place. Beeson 3rd, Kyle Clark 4th, and Joe B. Miller rounds out the top 5. They also have the USL Sprint cars at Creek County last night. That was a pretty good race. Tyler Edwards beat Tanner Kahn in the last couple of laps to pick off that win. Pretty entertaining USL race.
Were you a little surprised by Ayrton Jennington running 8th? Were you a little surprised by that?
Yeah, but he didn't have a good starting spot. I mean,
he started 17th.
Yeah, 17th starting spot to 8th. So I guess when you consider he started way back in 17th, that was a pretty good finish for Ayrton. He didn't qualify that well. He did win his heat race, which got him transferred into the feature event last night. But, boy, even the Honest Abe Power I 410 series, you better qualify well or you're going to find yourself in a pretty bad spot. And so Ayrton didn't have as good a qualifying run
Kirk,
as he hoped to have.
We need to talk about the Power I race, the Hockett Memorial.
Yeah, we're talking about a race that happened last September.
Right.
The Jesse Hockett Daniel McMillan Memorial Race.
Go into details on that, Kirk.
Well, if you recall, Jake Buback was the apparent winner of that race, but he's disqualified some weeks later because of the tire samples came back illegal. And what happened was they appealed that decision, Bork Motorsports, and then we never heard anything more about it.
Right.
I didn't hear what when the results of the appeal came back. They affirmed the original penalty. The appeal process affirmed that original penalty, but I'm not sure when that happened.
Right.
So I didn't hear anything more about it, but it all came to light this week when Bork Motorsports posted a Facebook message, and it says this: well, the saga continues. As we pulled into Knoxville this past week, I was approached by my friend Scott Boguski Motorsports, who ran second in the Oaks Racing 1X at the race at Lucas Oil Speedway last fall. He asked me if I was suing Power I. Through this discussion, I learned that Kenny Brown had told Scott that he could not pay him the winner's share in the Hockett McMillan Memorial at Lucas Oil Speedway because I was suing him. This is completely not true. Kenny Brown and Power I are trying to steal the winner's share, $10,000 of that race. The purse money is the racer's money, Mr. Brown. Pay it. Again, to be clear, I'm not suing. nor intend to sue POWRi. Well, as you can imagine, that created quite a stir during the week,
right?
Which forced POWRi to post a press release earlier this week and said this. This is an update to the driver's disqualification at the POWRi 410 Sprint League event at Lucas Oil Speedway on September 14, 2024, and subsequent appeal process. Saturday night's feature winner, Jake Buback, was disqualified after the sample taken from the right rear tire at the conclusion of the main event failed to conform to the benchmark provided by Hoosier Tire. Following the disqualification, Buback and the Bork Motorsports team elected to appeal the decision and proceed through the POWRi 410 Sprint League's appeal process. Through that process of appeal, it was again verified that the tire was indeed tampered with, which violates the series rules on the alterations POWRi 410 Wing Outlaw Series specifications, and it goes through details about what that involves. And then they go on to say, adhering to the appeal process requirements as set forth in Section D, money won in an event may be held until final determination is made by the independent laboratory. POWRi officials held the winner's pay until Buback's appeal process was completed. We don't know when that was completed. While there has been a criticism that the process has been lengthy, POWRi officials want to ensure a fair and just appeal. Officials have been in contact with Scott Boguski and Oaks Racing to ensure they receive the $5,000 true up, bringing their already paid second-place winnings to the event winners total of $10,000. POWRi Racing Incorporated appreciates continued support from our teams, partners, and fans as we remain committed to fairness, transparency, and the integrity of our sport. So there you go. A couple of things here. We don't know when the appeal process was completed, and we don't know as of yet about the other. I assume they held back because everybody else in the finishing row would have to be paid a true up, to get them up to speed. So anyway, there's the other thing that there's a confusion over suing and appealing. Well, accurately, Bork Motorsports did not sue in a court, but they appealed it.
Right.
So there's a bit of confusion about that. So it was true when Bork Motorsports said, no, we didn't sue him, but they did appeal the process, and the appeal process must be met.
There's a difference
before
between,
they pay out the rest of the money.
There's a difference between suing and the appeal process.
Yeah, they didn't sue in a court of law.
Right.
But they appealed it, which they, according to the rules, they can hold back the money. But my question is this. Here we are in April the following year. Let's see, September. How long ago was that? 6 months ago?
6 months ago.
How long does the appeal process take? And we don't know when the appeal process was completed. But nonetheless, Kenny Brown, POWRi, has assured that the rest of the purse money to the rest of the competitors, including second place Scott Boguski, who's now the winner of the Jesse Hockett Daniel McMillan Memorial, would be paid up. So there's that.
Devin Moran squeaked out a victory over Ricky Thornton Jr.
Closest race of the night last night, Lucas Oil Late Model Series at Georgetown Speedway out in Delaware. It didn't look like RTJ was going to have any shot at that race last night because he had faded during the course of that race. He was up towards the front of the pack, but then faded as far back as sixth before he started to make his run to the front. It was a 50-lap race. And here comes RTJ trying to chase down Devin Moran, and he almost got him. It was by less than a half a car length at the line that Devin Moran was able to hold off Ricky Thornton Jr. But that was quite a miraculous comeback for RTJ last night in that Kohler Motorsports number 20 to pick up the feature victory at Georgetown. Tonight they're going to be at Hagerstown Speedway, and Saturday night at one of my favorite racetracks, Port Royal Speedway, on Sunday night. So there you go. Lucas Oil, after about a month off, Lucas Oil Late Model Series back in action. The World of Outlaws late models got rained out last night at Talladega Short Track, across the street from the big Talladega Speedway.
Kirk, we've got Zane Smith and Jason Reed on today.
Jason Reed is the general manager at Knoxville Raceway. We spoke to him on Monday, hour 2 exclusively on Race Boys. He'll tell us about everything that's going on at Knoxville, including this weekend's regular season grand opening. Last weekend, what a spectacular night for the World of Outlaws. You and I were both up there last Saturday night. That was a big night of racing, wasn't it?
It was.
It was a big night, as they had 62 cars on hand at Knoxville last Saturday night. And I thought maybe Kyle Larson, he might have had something.
Hey Todd, we're going to play a little bit of Connor Wade as well, aren't we?
Yeah, both those hour 2. So we got a little Zane Smith here coming up in the next segment to fulfill our NASCAR duties here of Kansas. And it was a really good interview with Zane. He had a lot of good stuff to say. And then our interview with Jason Reed went way long, so we're just playing a little clip out of that. And same way with Connor Wade. That's episode 357. If you're keeping score at home on Mostly Motorsports, you can find that wherever you get your podcast.
Hey, Kelly checked in from Central Point, Oregon.
Welcome to everybody tuning in here. We're live here on a Saturday morning. Appreciate that. Hey, getting back to Knoxville last week, Rico held off Kyle Larson for the feature victory. Big night for Rico Abreu, who got hurt out in Australia, had to cut his Australian trip short and trying to get things in gear for the high limit season. Off to a little bit of a slow start, but he's put a lot of emphasis on Knoxville. He was part of the
he's going to be there tonight.
Well, he was there last night practicing. He is still not happy with the way. He should be happy because he ran very well last weekend, but still up there practicing last night in that 24 car. But Rico held off. Kyle, did you think Larson was going to get him at the end? Maybe if they had one more lap, Larson probably would have got him. What do you think?
Some people say if there was 30 laps, Rico would have got him.
But it wasn't 30 laps. It was 25 laps.
Right.
You know, people say that.
Right.
Well, if it had been 30 laps or if it had been one more lap, Larson might have got him. Well, he didn't get him, and there was a big win for Rico. He didn't make as many mistakes.
There was 51 cars up there practicing last night.
Yep. Big crowd. The 360s were on the track for the first time last night. The Pro Series event, that's the third class at Knoxville. So pretty good crowd of, pretty good number of race cars on hand to practice up at Knoxville. One who was not there in practice, and why should he be? Brian Brown, why should he practice at Knoxville? He's got plenty of laps around there. He knows his way around there. But tonight, you're planning on heading up there?
I'm thinking about it.
It'd be good. I think it's good for tonight, is it not? I think the weather is good.
I don't know if the weather is good or not.
Yeah, I haven't checked. Port Royal is canceled, though. Marie passed that on to us. So
that's the first I've heard that. They were planning on a big race. That was the Keith Kaufman race at Port Royal.
Yeah.
And I was tuned in last night at Williams Grove after all this news about Cale Thomas getting fired from Shark Racing 1A car and hiring Ashton Torgeson as their new driver. I was so excited to tune in to see how Ashton would do in the 1A car at Williams Grove last night, but it got rained out. And now you're telling me Port Royal got rained out tonight. So
I'm just
supposed to be there.
I'm just repeating
what
Marie told me.
said.
But I'm looking on their events. It says it's still on their website, so maybe they just haven't posted it yet on their.
What about their Facebook page?
I haven't been there
We'll
yet.
check
Let
that
me
out.
Check that out real quick.
We'll
here.
confirm that, but that was supposed to be a big race tonight. I think they were paying pretty good money for that, and Supposed to be a lot of cars, including Ashton Torgerson in the 1A car. Now, Port Royal will be hosting the late models, Lucas Oil late models, tomorrow night. Baps Motor Speedway is the third night of the 410 weekend that the 1A car with Ashton Torgerson is scheduled to be in. So hopefully we see Ashton in the 1A car, which this is the other big story of the week, Scott, is, and you know, we talked about Cale Thomas's weekend in that 1A car last weekend. Did not go well. They, you know, wrecked the car at Williams Grove Speedway after hitting the water barrel in the opening in the back straightaway at Williams Grove, and the car caught fire, and Danny Dietrich pulled him out of the race car. And then Saturday night, Cale Thomas wrecked the 1A car at Lincoln Speedway, and we didn't really see the video of that. Flo missed the crash there of Cale Thomas at Lincoln Speedway, so we really don't know what happened there. But then we didn't get this news until after we left the air on Monday that Cale Thomas had been fired after 3 races in the 1A car.
Are you surprised by that? 3 races?
Shocked by that.
Right.
Aren't you?
Yeah, I am too.
But Jacob Allen gave an explanation that on a Twitter post, they call it X now, earlier this week, and he said this: I don't understand how any of the people in here think their opinions have any value. I don't read one name that I know of that I've been working on or owning a World of Outlaws team, high limit team, or even a local team. How can because they got a lot of blowback from this week, and Jacob Allen is responding. So how can so many of you be so certain and so invested in things when you have no involvement or understanding on anything that goes on with our program? How can so many people be butthurt that Cale got fired 3 out of 3 races? Cale bent or tore up equipment. More equipment was torn up in 2 nights than Logan or I have torn up in 5 years on the road racing with the Outlaws. Sorry, we don't have a vending machine of spare parts or new parts. It's a business. If Cale tore up that much equipment in 3 races, what does 70 races look like? It just didn't work out. Move on, people, or come down to the shop and help fix all the torn up stuff with the team. Peace. That was the explanation by Jacob Allen why Cale Thomas got fired. So my question is this, Scott. Ashton Torgerson is coming from the West Coast. Where's he from? Oregon? He's raced in fewer than 25 410 sprint car races out on the West Coast. I don't know if he's ever been to Pennsylvania. And now you're going to throw him into the 1A car at big half-mile racetracks like Williams Grove, Port Royal. Now, that's going to have to be postponed a week. So can you explain to me, Scott, why Ashton Torgerson, who we know, we've had him on this show before, because he made big news at the Chili Bowl when he got thrown out of his race car a couple of years ago, miraculously survived that, and we're thank God for that. But Ashton Torgerson done very well in the midget, but has limited experience driving a 410 wing sprint car. Why the Allens would hire Ashton Torgerson as the replacement? I guess he'd bring in a lot of money, right?
Right.
Would that be the reason?
Maybe they're bringing some money to the equation.
I would say that's probably the big reason.
Right.
So I wish Ashton the best out there, but don't you think he's got a lot of pressure I guess the message is, and what I've heard from Jacob Allen on a couple of other interviews, that it looked like Cale was going to wreck on every lap. He was pushing it too hard when he was told to bring it home. Don't try to do more than what you can do here. You're just getting started. Bring the car home in one piece. He was told that, and every lap he looked like he was going to wreck it. I think that's the reason why Cale Thomas was let go.
All right, Truck Talk is brought to you by Rod End Supply, featuring the POWRi Midwest Lightning Sprints. Zane Smith is going to join us next, right here on Mostly Motorsports, our Track Talk.
Zane Smith is a Cup Series driver. We're going to see him at Kansas Speedway here in a couple of weeks. So we had him. We recorded this interview a couple of days ago, so we'll play that coming up.
All right. We're going to take a break. When we come back, more Track Talk right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Track Talk. Rod End Supply is involved with a variety of motorsports as well as industrial applications with many different types of products. Since 1989, Rod End Supply has provided superior products priced competitively. Whether you're racing at the circle track or drag strip, rock climbing, or going off-road, Rod End Supply has an assortment of rod ends, radius rods, and specialty products to keep your equipment moving. Rod End Supply's experienced staff is ready and willing to help you with your needs. Their promise is to continue to provide a superior product with superior service so you can stay in front of the field no matter what it is. To learn more, go to rodendsupply.com.
4 minutes, gentlemen, 4 minutes.
Thank you.
Of course you do. Big O Tires will make sure your vehicle's ready to go. Spring into savings at your locally owned and operated Big O Tires. Now through April 27th, save $100 instantly on select sets of tires. Plus, Big O Tires offers expert services on alignments, shocks, struts, batteries, brakes, and more. All with multiple financing options available. Find store locations and request an appointment at BigOTires.com. Make sure you're ready for the spring and summer weather by springing into savings at Big O Tires, the team you trust.
Spring has sprung, and with it comes more movement, adventure, and sometimes a little seasonal discomfort. But don't let that slow you down. CBD American Shaman offers high-quality CBD products designed to support your wellness, helping you feel your best and get back to enjoying the beautiful weather. From tropicals to oils and water-based CBD, their products are crafted to promote relaxation and relief from everyday stresses. Be sure to ask about CBD American Shaman's Wellness Trifecta. CBD American Shaman, where life is better with the feather.
Ring the bell! We've done it again! Golden Oak Lending has lowered rates to 4.875 fixed. Lower your monthly payment, get cash out, pay off credit cards, and best of all, make no mortgage payments for 2 months. Lock in this incredible 4.875 rate and get your cash in as little as 14 days. Call 913-890-GOLD.
Golden Oak Lending, cured my blues.
5.81 APR, FHA, 15-year, 20% equity qualified credit. Additional terms apply. NMLS 114937.
Here's the best kept secret in Kansas City. KCI Car Care Center, the Phillips 66 station inside the airport. Tired of riding the shuttle buses when you fly? Let KCI Car Care pamper you and your car. They offer valet parking and vehicle service while traveling out of town, which is both helpful and convenient. They drive you to your terminal, drop you off curbside in your own vehicle, and pick you up curbside when you return. To find out more, call 816-243-5880. That's 816-243-5880. KCI Car Care Center, the only way to fly.
2 minutes, gentlemen, 2 minutes.
And all the thrills and playoff drama. Are you done sitting on the sideline and ready to win some real cash? Well, check out Pick 6 from DraftKings, because when it comes to basketball payouts, DraftKings Pick 6 posterizes the competition, including prize picks. Hit all your picks and score higher minimum payouts on Pick 6. Plus, even more cash if you outscore the competition. Download the DraftKings Pick 6 app now and use code 810WHB. That's code 810WHB for new customers to play $5. Get $50 in Pick 6 credits. Better payouts, bigger wins, only with Pick 6 from DraftKings. The crowd is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Must be 18 plus. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Void where prohibited. One per new customer. Bonus awarded as non-withdrawable Pick 6 credits that expire in 14 days. Limited time offers. See terms at pick6.draftkings.com/promos.
Hey, Kansas City. This is Tyler Billington with Pink's Window Services, the premier window cleaning service here in KC. At Pink's, we have 3 rules. Number 1, show up on time, no more vague arrival windows. Number 2, do what we say we're going to do. Our word is everything, and we aim to exceed expectations. And number 3, leave your home better than we found it. Check us out at pinkswindows.com, and you'll see what I mean. That is pinkswindows.com.
It's Family Leisure's Factory Direct Hot Tub Sale. We have hot tubs coming in every week. No need to wait for months. Come get your dream hot tub today. Family Leisure also has pools in stock. Don't go another summer without a pool for your family. Come in and see our huge selection of patio furniture. Family Leisure is your one-stop shop for pool tables, shuffleboard, bar stools, and home theater seating. All priced to go. Mention 810 and save more at Family Leisure in Olathe.
913-888-7727. Awesome!
Track Talk here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Joining us now is Zane Smith, the driver of the 38 car. Hey, Zane, how you doing?
Pretty good. Just getting ready for this long stretch ahead and ready to get going.
Front Row Motorsports this year. How did that all come together at the beginning of the season, the off season?
Yeah, there was a lot of talk back and forth with myself and FRM. I would say halfway through of last year when I was let go, and so it's been great to be back in the 38 this time, the Cup car, and just back at FRM. So a lot of familiar faces, some partners I'm able to work with again, which is awesome, and it's just been a lot of fun. So good first little start to the season, I'd say. A few things to clean up, but all in all, for working with a new group, I feel pretty strong about our team and ready for this stretch we got ahead.
You know, I'm good friends with Jeff Dickerson over there and TJ Pusher at Spire Motorsports. Talk about your stint over there with them, with those guys.
Yeah, it was awesome to be at Spire, especially everything that they were growing and turning into, I feel like. So I was in a kind of an awkward position with Spire, where I was a Trackhouse driver, but everything I raced was out of Spire. So I pretty much I was at Spire in a Spire car, but under a Trackhouse contract. So just a unique situation, but yeah, you know, those positions could be awkward for some, I feel like, and I felt everything made me feel right at home, and those are some great people, and they're building something special. So they've shown speed, obviously, and that back half of the year is a lot of fun with them. So yeah, they'll be exciting to watch, but we're competing against them now. So full speed ahead on trying to beat that. What is it? 771-77.
Hey, I know that you ran BMX racing. Talk about that a little bit in your career.
Yeah, I did. I was probably a little too young to remember too much of it, but I started about 3 years old and went till I was about 6 or 7. And yeah, I mean, I have memories of how hard I would work at obviously such a early age. But at that time, I really wanted to race Supercross, and it's a tough sport. Unfortunately, we aren't belted in on those, so you get hurt a little more often. And when you're young like that, it's not too much fun once you're breaking femurs and busting your chin open and things like that. So, anyways, got on the 4 wheels after that, and then kind of pursued a racing career still, but a little bit different.
But it taught you how to compete, though, didn't it?
100%, yep. And I feel that sometimes you could be taught a competitive side and you're born with it, and I was definitely born with 99% of it, but that 1% probably came from at such an early age, racing BMX, racing karts, and just, you know, growing up trying to win.
All right, you won a NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series championship in 2022. We remember you winning the spring race out here at Kansas Speedway, and that was with Front Row Motorsports. So a lot of these same guys you said that helped you out on that truck, helping you out on this Cup car?
Yeah, it's a different group that's working on the cars week in and week out, but all in all, same team, same numbers. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, the truck championship was awesome. You know, I always wanted to make it to the Cup Series, and I felt winning that truck championship really kind of finally kicked that door down for me to get a opportunity at racing on Sunday. So we'll never forget that day. Still one of the best days of my life. But and then, yeah, like you said, going back to that Kansas win in the truck. Kansas in a truck, Cup car, anything has always been probably my favorite mile and a half. I don't know what makes it so good, but I think it provides some of the best racing, beautiful area, and it's a lot of fun. I feel I should have more than one truck win there. I came close about 4 other times, but unfortunately haven't gotten it. But yeah, that was a good night when we won Kansas in the truck.
You ever get back into the truck, or is this all Cup Series?
No, this is all Cup this year, so full focus ahead on hopefully getting into the playoffs and having some more good runs.
You've had some pretty good runs this year. You've got 4 top 15 finishes and 9 races this year. Let's talk about some of the better runs. You finished 12th at Darlington. You had a top 10 at Phoenix. So just kind of highlight the season a little bit so far.
Yeah, I mean, we've shown up with speed, which is great. We've made a lot of positive adjustments going into the race and made our car better for the most part throughout races. Which is a challenging thing to do, racing on Sunday, just with how long the races are, the time we start, the track changes it goes through, the rubber buildup. The track is always changing, and staying on top of it says a lot about a race team. And so, yeah, just have been proud of that. I think there's, like I said, a few things that we could clean up, and I feel like how our races are playing out right now, we qualified pretty well. We raced there for a good bit, and like that middle part of the race, we get a little behind, and just some things have been simply out of our power of just a bad time of a caution. And we spend that whole back end of the race fighting back to an 11th, a 12th, when I feel at those races we should be a 7th or an 8th. And there's been 1 or 2 races I feel we should have finished top 5. So those ones are frustrating and sting, but you know, it's something to learn off of and continue to build on. Fortunately, we have a lot of races throughout the year, and a lot of one after the other here coming up. So ready to capitalize on what we know, where we need to be better, and hopefully execute on that.
Hey, what does it mean to have a good racing wife next to you? What is that
yeah,
all
I mean,
about?
It's important for them to know what kind of goes into it, and yeah, she understands what the week entails and the time away it brings, and so it takes a special one for that. Unfortunately, I got that.
Tell us about your crew chief, Ryan Burgunty.
Yeah, Ryan Burgunty does a great job. He's really hungry to succeed at this level, and is a great team leader. Fun to be around. We have, I wouldn't say similar personalities, but we do in a sense, and it's been a ton of fun to work with them. So I feel after that little stretch of races we've just had, that kind of allowed us to figure out what we want out of each other, and hopefully we can apply that through the rest of the year.
You touched on a little bit earlier, these next-gen cars are really built for Kansas Speedway. We've seen some fabulous races out here the last few years. Just kind of talk about just it seems to be the intermediate tracks really fit well with this type of race car, don't they?
Yeah, I mean, I would say the mile and a half, it is the bread and butter for this Cup car for sure. It just it's a good bit of throttle time, and you know, any racetrack we get to go to where you have multiple lanes to work with, this Cup car will provide incredible racing, and so we've seen that. And that's simply just what Kansas brings. You could run all over the racetrack, especially on a cooler day where just multiple lanes are opened, where you could get some cleaner air and get out of someone's wake, and it makes a world of a difference.
You know, we're kind of fond of Kansas Speedway. You can run up at the top, you can run down at the bottom, you can run in the middle. Talk about Kansas Speedway a little bit.
Yeah, just it's a really fun place. Kind of going back to what I just said, like being able to run the bottom, middle, top, use the wall to your advantage. Depends how the rubber builds up, but just a clean facility, awesome racetrack. I feel it's aged so properly from a pavement side, but always a ton of fun to go to.
All right, you're going to Talladega this weekend. What did you learn at Daytona earlier this year that can help you get a good run at Talladega this weekend?
Yeah, I know the Fords and the speed FRM brings on the Cup side is always going to be really strong on the super speedways. Even on their trucks, they're always fast, but their Cup cars are always show up with speed, and mine showed up with a lot of speed at Daytona. Just, man, a lot of things didn't go our way in Daytona. We had blown her right front in our duel on like lap 2 or so, running 6th, and then in the race got caught up in an incident in turns 1 and 2 that ended our day short. So that was a bummer, and didn't feel like we learned a whole lot. But like I said, we know we'll have a lot of speed. Just unfortunately, that's kind of how that racing plays out sometimes. So hopefully have a little bit of luck on our side and can execute a good finish.
Well, good luck to you this weekend. Thanks for spending time with us. Appreciate it. Look forward to seeing you out here at Kansas Speedway driving the number 38 Ford for Front Row Motorsports. Thanks for your time.
Yep, appreciate you guys. Thank you.
That is Zane Smith, and again, he's the 2022 NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series champion. We saw him win the spring race that same year out here at Kansas Speedway, and we'll see him in the Front Row Motorsports 38 car out here coming up on May 11th, Mother's Day. We're just a couple of weeks away from NASCAR weekend, and that's also the same weekend that the High Limit Racing is going to be out at Lakeside Speedway on Friday night, May 9th. And so we got a big weekend, 2 weekends from now. One other thing we need to get clarified. Port Royal is still on for tonight for the Keith Kaufman Memorial Race. So still on, $15,000 to win. The Keith Kaufman Classic tonight at Port Royal Speedway. And then tomorrow night, Lucas Oil Late Model Series at Port Royal Speedway. So you'll be able to watch those races on Flow over the next couple of nights out there. That's a great racetrack. It's on my bucket list of tracks to go to, Scott, Port Royal Speedway. So looking forward to that. Couple of other notes from last night. I guess they did get the races in at Lakeside Speedway last night.
Did they get them in last night, Todd?
Yep, but it was chilly out there. I think Clancy picked up the win in the B-Mods, but I know it was a little chilly out there.
But we were planning on being at US 36 Raceway for the Mike Franks Memorial last night, but that didn't happen. They pulled the plug on that on Thursday because of too much rain during the week. We were supposed to see the WAR, Power I, and MWRA non-wing sprint cars last night, but unfortunately,
a lot of rain all week. A lot of rain all week, so they wasn't even able to get in there and do any work. So it was probably the best thing for them to do to pull that instead of making everybody come in for so far, and then you have half, full show type of thing. So
opening
it sucks.
Opening night is still on for Central Missouri Speedway tonight. They were supposed to start last week, but Mother Nature interfered there. So tonight is the opening night at Central Missouri Speedway, and I think Valley and I-35 are still on. Lucas Oil Speedway, they got rained out last week as well. I think they're still on for tonight as well. For those of you listening in and around the Kansas City area, you got some choices to go to tonight, but you're thinking about going to Knoxville, right?
I am. I'm thinking about going to Knoxville.
Opening night for the
we got the RV
racing
up there.
Yeah, North Campground. Why not?
Right.
Take a drive to Knoxville, stay all night, come back tomorrow.
Right.
That sounds like a great plan. So I think I'm going to sit in my easy chair and watch a lot of different races tonight. They're going to have the World of Outlaws at Hobstadt tonight. See if Brady Bacon can make it 3 in a row there. And Lucas Oil Late Models at Hagerstown. We've got the Power I, Honest Abe 410 Outlaw Racing at Tri-State, the other Tri-State Speedway in Pecola, Oklahoma tonight. We'll watch that on Start to Finish TV. So we got a lot of options tonight. So I'll be back out at the track next weekend.
Track Talk is brought to you by Rod End Supply, featuring the Power I Midwest Lightning Sprints. When we come back, are we going to do?
No, we're just going to make our NASCAR picks and talk a little bit of Talladega and Sprint Car Hall of Fame talk.
All right. We'll be back with more Track Talk here in a moment on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Rod End Supply is involved with a variety of motorsports as well as industrial applications with many different types of products. Since 1989, Rod End Supply has provided superior products priced competitively. Whether you're racing at the circle track or drag strip, rock climbing, or going off-road, Rod End Supply has an assortment of rod ends, radius rods, and specialty products to keep your equipment moving. Rod End Supply's experienced staff is ready and willing to help you with your needs. Their promise is to continue to provide a superior product with superior service so you can stay in front of the field no matter what it is. To learn more, go to rodendsupply.com.
Drive away with savings.
You got 3 minutes, gentlemen. 3 minutes.
Thank you.
The number one dealer in Kansas City, Brogdon has the area's biggest selection and best deals on new vehicles. Take advantage of limited time discounts, low financing, and no payments for 90 days. Choose from hundreds of new models like the GMC Sierra, Buick Envista, and Buick Enclave. In stock and ready to roll. But hurry, these offers won't last long. Visit robertbrogdon.com or stop by in person and see him at I-35 in Santa Fe.
Spring has sprung, and with it comes the extra movement, outdoor fun, and let's be honest, a little seasonal discomfort. But don't let it slow you down. At CBD American Shaman, they're ready to help you feel your best. With high-quality CBD products designed to support your wellness, you'll find the balance you need to enjoy the beautiful weather. From topicals to oils and water-based CBD, their products are crafted to help with everyday stresses and physical tension. Be sure to ask about CBD American Shaman's Wellness Trifecta. Dealing with seasonal allergies, their knowledgeable team will guide you through options that may help with pollen-induced sniffles and watery eyes. Find your nearest CBD American Shaman location today and discover how they can support your well-being. Or visit CBDAmericanShaman.com. CBD American Shaman, where life is better with the feather.
I'm McCall from Lee Summit Subaru, and we're committed to helping our community through the Subaru Love Promise, like our commitment to Hillcrest Transitional Housing to help solve homelessness. Lee Summit Subaru also sponsors several pet adoption clinics like Midwest Animal Rescue and events each year, such as Dogtoberfest. It's all part of the Subaru Love Promise, and we're committed to helping our community fall in love with driving again at Lee Summit Subaru. LeeSummitSubaru.com.
Imagine buying your next car from one dealership.
With the support of many.
With everything you'll ever need.
When you buy from any of the Balderson Auto Group dealerships, you're getting the support from all of our dealerships.
Like our 100 service-based collision and detail centers.
And our free exclusive lifetime warranty. No other auto group gives you that.
From north, central, south, the Balderson Auto Group has you covered.
A family committed to
excellence, growth,
and harmony.
Go to bagkc.com.
The Kansas City Chiefs select.
The NFL Draft continues today on Sports Radio 810 WHB. We'll have live coverage of rounds 4 through 7. Hi, this is Bethany Bowman. I will be anchoring our coverage beginning at 10 a.m. We'll catch you up on all the Chiefs selections, and then we'll turn it over to ESPN Radio for their live presentation of every pick.
Your home of the NFL, the NFL Draft, the NFL Playoffs, and Super Bowl 60. Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Welcome back to Track Talk here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Don't forget, hour number 2, you can watch it exclusively on Facebook, YouTube, and raceofboys.com.
They had the Heartland Modified Tour at the Salt City Racing. That's the old Hutch Fairgrounds, Hutchinson, Kansas, last night. Tanner Mullins led all the way from the pole position to win that race last night over Peyton Phillips. Dean Willey finished in third place, and they also had races at Humboldt Speedway last night. Brian McGowan was the B-Mod winner last night, and Todd, you mentioned that Clancy won the B-Mods.
Yeah, I think that's what I read last night on Facebook.
Chad Clancy started third and beat last week's winner John Sheets. Tim Carrick came from 10th to 3rd. Terry Schultz and Jake Richards, your top 5. Other winners at Lakeside were Corey Myers in the E-Mods, Marshall Jewett in Pure Stocks. He's on a roll down there. Chris DeShong broke Jalen Weddingall's winning streak in the USRA Stock Car Division, so congratulations to all of those winners last night. Hey, National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum will be presenting the Manzanita Salute beginning May 1st. This is the salute to the old Manzanita Speedway that used to be in Phoenix, Arizona. That track has not been in existence for some years now. I think Jesse Hockett won the last race
He
there.
did.
The last
the
race.
last non-wing race.
Yeah. So they're going to move in the display for the Manzanita Speedway Salute right before May 1st. I don't think you'll see any of those cars in there tonight if you go up there, but it'll be open from May 1st through October 1st at the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum. And while you're there, check out the Logan Schuart's $1 million car in the window up there. I noticed that in the window up there. The same car you and I were out there to see Logan Schuart win the $1 million at Eldora. That car is in the front window at the Hall of Fame up there. At some point, we'll see the 2025 competition yellow Corvette. Hopefully we'll see that before they draw for it in August.
Right.
But it is a beauty. They're giving that away up there.
They haven't received that car yet.
Not yet.
Right.
So, but I can't wait to see it when it does come. It's a ZR1 with the ZTK Performance Package. You can win this car. Of course, all the proceeds go to the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum. If you want to have a chance to win this car, get registered today. Go to winacorvette.org to purchase your tickets. They'll draw for this a week after the Knoxville Nationals. The last day you can enter is the last day of the Nationals, and they'll draw for it a week later. So winacorvette.org. Of course, you and I were up there for the grand opening of the Dennis Allbaugh Sweet Tire. What an impressive building that is. Great addition to the Hall of Fame up there.
The turnout for that press conference was off the chart, wasn't it?
It was terrific. You live streamed the ribbon cutting ceremony on our Facebook page, didn't you? If you want to go up there and take a look at that. So that was a great event up there. We talked about that on last week's show. So check that out. If you're going up to Knoxville tonight, make sure you visit the Hall of Fame. Of course, it's open 7 days a week. While you're there, go into the gift shop. A lot of great items there. SprintCarStuff.com if you want to see all the items they have in the gift shop up there. But another big day at Knoxville as the season opener for the 410, 360, and the Pro Series races tonight. Races still on for Knoxville.
Hey, that was on April 17th at 2 o'clock.
Yes. So a week ago on Thursday. It was up there.
Yep.
So we'll hear from Jason Reed, the general manager from Knoxville Raceway, in the next hour, exclusively on Racing Boys. We did an interview with him on Monday's Mostly Motorsports show. I want to make mention that we'll have sunshine on this Monday show. Tyler Courtney is going to join us. Of course, he's full-time high-limit racer. He finished fourth at Knoxville last week.
Keep your fingers
crossed,
Kirk.
No, I think we've got him confirmed. So Kendra Jacobs helped us out with that. So.
Right.
And then Rico is coming on the show the following Monday, so we'll get him on. We thought we were going to get him on last week's show, but he's tied up with a couple of other commitments. But Rico Abreu will be on the show on May 5th, so coming up the next couple of weeks. But Tyler Courtney, anytime you finish the top 5 with that crowd of cars that was at Knoxville last week, you're doing good. And Sunshine had a good, solid 4th place finish up there last Saturday night.
So who are you going to pick in your NASCAR picks this week? We got the odds right up there on the screen for you.
Talladega is always the hardest to pick.
Yep.
Daytona and Talladega.
My picks this week are Blaney and Busch. I went back to my 2 Bs.
Kyle Busch needs a win, doesn't he?
He does bad.
He won at Talladega a couple of years ago. Remember that?
Yep, he did. So like you said, Blaney's your odds-on favorite.
Blaney's got 3 wins at Talladega. He won there, I think, 2 years ago.
Yep.
Blaney won there 2 years ago. I think Busch and Blaney were the 2 winners in 2023, as I remember.
Who's your picks?
I'm going to go with Ryan Blaney.
Yeah, me too.
He's due.
He is.
He's done everything but win a race this year. And I think he runs well enough at Talladega that he can get it done.
Who would be your backup in case something?
It's not going to be Kyle Larson. Kyle's got to show me that he can perform better at both Daytona and Talladega before I'll pick him at those tracks. I'm going to go with Blaney's teammate, Joey Logano, who has 3 wins at Talladega. So I'm all Penske this
All
weekend.
Penske for. How about you, Scott Trey? We got.
I'm going with Ryan Blaney and Kyle Larson.
Boy, we're all in on Ryan Blaney. But you think Kyle Larson? How surprised would anybody be to see Kyle win at either Talladega or Daytona?
Yeah.
Why hasn't he run well at either of those tracks?
Him and Bubba have the same odds. So, yeah, I don't know.
And Bubba has a win at
He
Talladega.
does. Like you said, I think Blaney's going to do it, but for some reason, I feel like Busch is going to have his redemption race this week. For some reason, I don't know why, but that's my pick anyway. So we got those down, got them locked in. You want to tune in on Mondays, Mostly Motorsports. We kind of go over it again, and then we talk about it the next week. We didn't have a race last week, obviously, to talk about, but the week before that was at Bristol. And
we had an Xfinity race at Rockingham where the winner got DQ'd.
How about that?
Jesse Love won the race but was disqualified for failing post-race inspection, so they handed the win to Sammy Smith. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I turned the channel and went on to the next thing because I had a few other things I was watching, so I didn't know he was DQ'd until I came into work and saw it on the Facebook or on our homepage. So everybody in my house thought Jesse Love had won the race because we watched it, and then just immediately I didn't stick around for anything post race, so I just changed the channel and didn't find out till Monday morning actually that he had lost and been DQ'd, and the winner had been given to the next guy. So like you said, Kirk, those kind of things, that doesn't usually happen. We don't usually see the winner losing it on that thing. It's only happened a few times, I think, right?
We saw a sprint car driver get DQ'd.
Yeah, well, that happens.
Last
yeah.
week, Scotty Thiel was DQ'd for having too big a wicker bill.
Yep, that's right.
On his wing. And so, yeah, we saw twice last weekend where the winner got DQ'd. Record set at the drag races down at ZMAX Raceway in Charlotte last night. We had Doug Coletta setting an ET record in Top Fuel, and Brittany Force setting the all-time speed record.
341?
341.
The fastest.
.59.
Nitro, or the fastest
Top Fuel
nitro car ever. Funny car. Or, I mean,
Top Fuel dragster. Yep, fastest run ever. That's plain getting it, guys. 341 miles an hour. That's an unbelievable amount of speed,
right?
In that short. So, like you said, kudos to her for out there breaking barriers and breaking records, man. She's out there tearing it up, and the 4 wide's always cool to watch.
We'll see if Tony Stewart can do it again. He won the 4 wide out at Las Vegas here a couple of weeks ago. His first ever win as in the professional classes. Last night he qualified 8th, Tony Stewart. But he made an interesting comment about why he likes the 4 wide, where some of these other guys don't like the 4 wide because it's too distracting.
Right.
Tony said, well, I got used to racing against other guys. It's like a heat race, I like it.
Right.
Tony said, I like it. Gives me an advantage. You think it'll give him an advantage this weekend?
I think it will.
We'll see if
what do
Tony
you
can
think,
do it again.
Kurt?
Well, he's got a fast race car. See not as quick as Doug Coletta and Brittany Force this weekend, but we'll see if he can get it done.
Track Talk is brought to you by Rod End Supply, featuring the POWRi Midwest Lightning Sprints. When we come back, Jason Reed and Connor Wade is going to join us next here on Track Talk.
Hour number 2 coming right up. Don't
Thanks
forget
to Jay Powers back at 8:10. Todd surprised. Great
watch
job
it
as
on
always.
watch it on Facebook, YouTube, and racerboys.com. All right, thanks everybody for tuning in to Sports Radio 810 WHB. Track Talk is up next on Facebook, YouTube, and
Rod End Supply is involved with a variety of motorsports as well as industrial applications with many different types of products. Since 1989, Rod End Supply has provided superior products priced competitively. Whether you're racing at the circle track or drag strip, rock climbing, or going off-road, Rod End
Thanks,
Supply
my
has
man.
an assortment of rod ends, radius rod.
Hey, no problem. We'll get this ironed out eventually.
To continue to provide a superior product with superior service so you can... Rod End Supply is involved with a variety of motorsports as well as industrial applications with many different types of products. Since 1989, Rod End Supply has provided superior products priced competitively. Whether you're racing at the circle track or drag strip, rock climbing, or going off-road, Rod End Supply has an assortment of rod ends, radius rods, and specialty products to keep your equipment moving. Rod End Supply's experienced staff is ready and willing to help you with your needs. Their promise is to continue to provide a superior product with superior service so you can stay in front of the field no matter what it is. To learn more, go to rodendsupply.com.
Here at Specialty Sportswear in-house, we do all of the screen printing, all the embroidery. We do some vinyl. The other add specialty items like your pens, magnets, notepads, calendars. You can actually buy that, build your business to make it larger. We have the largest screen printing process and the largest embroidery anywhere around in the area. We can do stuff all the way from your school clubs to sports teams, a professional look in the office. If you can imagine it, we can do it for you.
From the circle track to the drag strip to off-road racing, Rod End Supply has been keeping their customers at the front of the field since 1989. Whether you need rod ends, tubular rods, or specialty products, Bob Douglas and his Rod End Supply staff are always ready to help you with your needs. You can visit them on the web at rodendsupply.com or call them at 800-284-2902. That's 800-284-2902. Rod End Supply, keeping you at the front of the field.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Sabres 33 RLP. Let's go take a tour. Coming into this animal, we're going to take a trip back here to the feature of this trailer, the deck. Check it out. It's awesome. It's 4 by 10 feet. You can dance on this thing. Boom! Check it out. It's pretty nice. And then coming to the back of this thing, you got a 75-inch TV. It's huge. 60-inch fireplace. Nice and big, keep you warm. Then you got an ottoman that converts into a table, if you will, maybe some TV trays. Then this hide-a-bed that I'm pointing at, it comes out and folds into like a king-size bed with storage in the corner for all your linens. Great little addition to the trailer. Your dinette, of course. Then you're gonna come around to the kitchen with the tic-toc sink. It's got the spritzer and the waterfall and all that stuff. Residential style refrigerator. It's got the microwave and the oven that's residential as well. Big old pantry over here with motion detected lights, coffee bar, and then coming up to the bedroom, you'll have the bathroom first, nice and spacious with a seat in it for them ladies. And then we got the king size bedroom with washer dryer hookup. I'm telling you, this is a home run for a couples coach. Come and see me, Kyle Walker.
Steve died, the outpouring of love was amazing. These dollars had come together to support us, and we realized, no, we didn't want to use them for us. We wanted to use them to help others.
The foundation has done so much for so many people. It helps any family that has somebody, whether it be a crew member or one of the drivers, that get hurt. We can help them to get through the situation.
I was injured in a non-wing sprint car accident that broke my neck and left me with a spinal cord injury. I was in the hospital 8 months, and that got really, really expensive, so having that extra help to help push me and my family forward was a big deal.
Yes, Steve's death is the reason the foundation exists, but it's Steve's life, and it's the lives of racers everywhere, is the reason we're able to do the work we do.
So we have a lot of folks come in interested in traveling for work. This is going to be a great option. Your Coachman Northern Spirit 2565 front kitchen. You have a nice wraparound full front kitchen here. Huge windows up top. Big 12-volt refrigerator. Lots of windows on the sides here. Great natural light coming in. You have your big TV over here on the swing arm bracket so you can kind of see it from any point in the room. Also have your bar stools here. Sit and eat your breakfast. In the bedroom, you're going to have a king-size bed in the slide-out. Lots of storage underneath that. Washer, dryer, hookup. Tons of storage with the drawers. Then you got your full bath across the back. When it comes down to a camper that you can get for 6,500 pounds and be under 30 feet long, this is an absolute home run.
Race fans, the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum is open 7 days a week, year-round, for you to come in and check out all of the wonderful race cars on display in the museum. And our online store at sprintcarstuff.com is open 24 hours a day for you to check out everything that we have in stock for sprint car fans. Whether it's for a birthday, anniversary, or Christmas, sprintcarstuff.com has it all. That's at the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum in Knoxville.
Go harder, faster, stronger with Rod End Supply. Whether you are running industrial, farming equipment, or a race car, Rod End Supply has the assortment of rod ends, radius rods, and specialty products that will help you lead the field in performance. Our superior design means our rod ends last longer and perform better, giving you the edge on the track and saving you money. Contact Rod End Supply or order online today at rodendsupply.com. We don't just sell them, we race them. rodendsupply.com. Serving the racing community for over 30 years.
Hey everybody, this is Larry the Cable Guy. You are listening to RacingBoys.com, and if you're not, I swear to you, get in your truck or do something, but get the hell out of this country, because you don't belong in it if you don't listen to these fellas.
It's time for America's most unique motorsports show, Track Talk, brought to you by Rod End Supply and the Power Ride Midwest Lightning Sprints. Here are the Racing Boys, Scott Traylor and Kirk Elliott.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to hour number 2 of Track Talk right here on RBN, the Race Boys Broadcasting Network. Hey, Kirk, what'd you think about Josh Simmons last night? How about that pick?
For the Chiefs, he's the number 1 draft choice for the Chiefs. Well, the Chiefs traded down one spot and still got an extra draft choice out of it, right? Is that what happened?
Yep.
Josh Simmons, I watch a lot of college ball. He didn't play a lot last year for Ohio State. He got hurt, didn't he?
Yeah.
Is he okay? I guess the Chiefs wouldn't have drafted him without making sure that he was going to be
knee?
okay, right?
Was it his knee, Kirk?
No, I don't remember. I don't think it was his
remember.
knee. But let me check it out.
I know he didn't play a lot last year for Ohio State because he got hurt. So I'm sure the Chiefs did their due diligence in making sure that he's going to be okay, or they wouldn't have made him a first-round draft choice, would they have not?
Well, I assume.
But don't you think Patrick Mahomes needs a lot of help?
He does.
He didn't get much help on that offensive line last year, I don't think.
They got rid of Taylor, didn't they?
Did they?
We lost somebody. I know we had to pick up one more. So
you've been watching a lot of that draft, have you?
I have.
I watched a tiny bit of it, and I watched our 2 picks, but I couldn't even have told you who the number 1 pick would have been.
Chiefs picked a lot of linemen, didn't they?
Yeah, cornerback, and then we made another trade. So we made our pick last night, and then I turned it off, and then I was zooming around, and hell, we traded with the Patriots for another pick and picked up a cornerback.
So they've got these extra picks.
Yeah, so we traded that 1 pick and traded up with Patriots and picked up another pick. So they had 3 picks yesterday. I thought they were only going to have the 2.
So edge rushers, defensive lineman, and offensive lineman, right?
Yep.
And cornerback.
And a cornerback.
That's not bad.
They thought everybody kind of thought they might be kind of going to go after or tight end because Travis will be retiring soon. So
when you've gone to the Super Bowl as many times as they have, you're probably not going to get the best draft choices out there.
So our pick so far is Josh Simmons, offensive lineman, Omar Norman, Lott, defensive tackle, Ashton Gillette, an edge rusher from Louisville, and 85th pick from Denver through Carolina and New England. So that was the big trade that we had. We picked up at Noel Williams, cornerback from Cal. So we have pick number 133 in the 4th round today. And
Titans made a good choice on their number 1 pick, Cam Ward, the quarterback out of Miami. I thought that was a good choice. My Cyclones played Miami in the bowl game down at Charlotte last year, or Orlando. The game was in Orlando. And Cam Ward played the first half of that game and then decided to sit out the second half. Now, I'm here to tell you, Iowa State would not have won that game had Cam Ward played the whole game. I can tell you that.
Kirk, 2 players got picked by Iowa State last night.
Yep, I saw that.
Did you see that?
I missed it.
Yeah, there were 2 of them.
I was watching racing last
two,
night. So
two
I didn't
Missouri
see it.
players and 2. So the Chiefs have only 1 pick in the 4th round, and then we have nothing in rounds 5 and 6. So we have a big gap, and then we have 3 picks in the 7th round.
Don't you think Saturday is underrated as a day? Because this is really where you make hay.
Yep.
Is today, Saturday.
Yep. So
I remember, we've been down there a couple of years ago. The draft was here in Kansas City. Went down there and spent the whole Saturday down there at the draft. That was kind of cool.
Yeah, they had a lot of people on that draft in Green Bay on Friday. They had some rain last night at the draft. So
you don't know what the weather's going to be like in April in Green Bay, Wisconsin.
You just don't know what you're going to get. So, but I do know that they had 200,000 people on opening night down there.
Wow.
So big crowds, and I know they're going to be racing around the country tonight. Lots of racing going on. I think most people are going to get everything in. I know there's just the one race that got called because of and that was called earlier in the week, right, Kirk? The race for
well, the race that was supposed to be last night at US 36 Raceway, the Power Eye
that was it.
Race was not held, and so the Mike Franks Memorial
there you
be postponed there for a little bit.
Yeah,
and we were looking forward to being up there last night. That was going to be a really difficult night, being at US 36 Raceway, not seeing Mike Franks up there. Of course, he passed away last fall, and it was supposed to honor Mike last night, but they'll get to that here soon. But the Power Eye Wingless Auto Racing and the MWRA postponed for the second straight time because they were supposed to race at Valley Speedway last Saturday night. That got called off. They did get the race in a couple of weeks ago, as you know. We had the winner of that race, Jack Wagner, on our show here last week. And so no races at US 36 last night, but I think everything else is still on. They're supposed to open up the season tonight at Central Missouri Speedway. Valley Speedway is still on for tonight, I think.
And
I-35 Speedway,
bundle
Lucas Oil
up, guys.
Speedway, Knoxville is on.
Yep.
So if you're in and around where we're at, which is Kansas City, there's some options for you out there tonight.
Just get your jacket and you'll be good to go.
Power Eye Wing 410
I'm gonna be
racing
on
at Tri-State Speedway in Pensacola, Oklahoma tonight.
I'm going to be on the second floor of the Hall of Fame.
There you go.
There you go.
Good place to
Good
be.
place to be.
Practice and qualifying for the Cup Series at Talladega starts in just a little while. 9:30. We're going to see the Cup cars out on the track on Prime Video. I'm not sure we can get that in the studio or not. Probably not.
What channel is it on, Kurt?
It's Prime.
Prime Video.
Yeah,
you get Prime Video?
No.
We'd have to bring that up somehow.
I don't think we have Prime.
I don't think we got a way to do it.
We'd have to download an app or something on that.
The General Tire 200 for the ARCA Menard Series is on FS1. That gets the green flag at 11:30 today. And then at 3 o'clock this afternoon, the Ag Pro 300 for the NASCAR Xfinity Series. You can watch that on the CW network. And then tomorrow, the Cup Series at Talladega, the Jack Links 500. You have any idea what Jack Links is?
That's a beef jerky.
It is?
Yeah.
Okay. That's on the Big Fox Network tomorrow through 2 o'clock. So check that out.
You never had any Jack's Links before, Kirk?
Nope. I don't think I'm supposed to have beef jerky.
Well, they have. I tried to get you to have beef jerky one other time. Remember, it's the guy with, here's the ad. There's the ad.
I tried your hamburger joint out the other day. That was great.
Pretty good, wasn't it?
What?
Yeah.
Danny's?
Close to here?
Yeah.
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 Did you go up there?
Big burger. I got the double. That may have been too much.
Good stuff, though, wasn't it?
Yeah.
A bunch of fries.
It
Get a
was
big
awesome.
old bag of fries. And like you said, once the fast food joints started getting to be as much as they are, I'd rather go in and walk into a.
Yeah. How do you find out about these places, Todd?
I do searches on Google, and I follow a lot of foodies, is what they call them on Facebook. So follow people that like to eat. And
well, just
like
put it this way: I'm going back.
Absolutely. Well, like I
Yeah,
told
I liked it enough. I'm gonna go.
I see him he sees me every Monday. He knows me not by now. He knows I come in every Monday after the show, and I pick my burger up. Me and my wife, we always have Mondays is our make it up Mondays, because she gets home usually late, and I usually eat after I get off work. So we kind of just figure out our own food on Monday night. So yeah, Mondays usually I swing by Danny's and pick me up a big old burger and fries and a drink to go, and it's good stuff.
So they were friendly when I walked
Real
in.
nice people. Like I said, that's the thing. I mean,
and they thanked me as I was heading out the door. Thanks for coming.
That's right. And it's nice little joint. Everything's clean in there. I mean, like you said, they're not a sponsor of ours, but boy, I tell you what.
Danny's Burgers.
Yep, right there on North Oak. Good,
not far from here.
Good stuff, man.
About 80th,
yep,
right?
70 or 8102, I think, or something like that. Yep, it's right there on the west side of the street, and next to Kate's Kitchen and that burrito place. There's three shops right there. I always thought that Danny's.
Have you ever ate at that burrito place, Kirk?
Never have. You like Mexican food?
I do.
We ate at the. Is that called the Casa Grande in Knoxville? That you and I had.
Mexican place up there.
We met up with Scotty Cook up there last Saturday night.
At the Mexican restaurant in downtown
Knoxville. That's a pretty good place.
Right. It's not bad.
So there's a lot of good places to eat in Knoxville that we like.
Manny's is one of them.
Yeah. Manny's Diner.
Right.
The Rib Shack.
Had the Rib Shack before when I was up there.
Yeah.
I've only been up a few times, but when we videotaped and streamed live the Hall of Fame induction that one year.
Yep.
I had some ribs from the Rib Shack up there, and cool place to visit up there in Knoxville. All little town, cruising around. It's fun stuff.
I think I'm going to go up there tonight.
Yep, that'd be a good place to roll to. Get some good racing. You know you'll be able to see some good racing, so you're not going to be having to worry about that. And if you're worried about being cold, you can always go inside, like you said.
So 51 race cars at Knoxville last night for the practice session. Some of the 410 drivers that were on hand, some full-time high-limit guys were up there. Chase Randall, last week's World of Outlaws winner. Rico Abreu was there last night. Jimmy Light, Chris Martin. I'm just going to read some of the names that took laps around Knoxville. Riley Goodnow. Why wouldn't Riley Goodnow be there? He lives there in Knoxville. Ryan Timms was there last night. Brent Marks, he's another full-time high-limit guy. We didn't see Brent Marks at Knoxville for the Outlaw Show last week, but he's there this weekend. Corey Eliason, Spencer Baston, Kerry Madsen.
Rico Abreu.
Yep. Matt Jewell is local guy. Landon Crawley driving the number 45X for Johnny Herrera.
It might be just to go up and see Rico Abreu.
That would be worth the price of admission right there. Jacob Hughes was there last night. Cameron Key, Jamie Ball, Scott Boguski, Tasker Phillips were some of the other 410 guys there. Let's take a look at some of the names that were there on the 360 side. Alex Hill, Timothy Smith, Tony Ross, Chris Morgan, McCain Richards.
Were you surprised to see Chris Morgan up there?
No, I guess not. I don't know. Were you?
Maybe.
Clint Garner was there. Ryan Giles. Chase Randall's going to do double duty tonight. He was there both practicing both in 360 and 410. J.J. Hickle, Chris Martin, another guy doing double duty. We had Jamie Ball, Riley Goodnow, Tasker Phillips, all of those guys doing double duty in both 410 and 360. And T-Mez, I hear that T-Mez is going to be a regular guy at Knoxville this year. He's going to be at Knoxville every week. And he was there driving the 01 car last night. What do you think about that? Thomas Messerol.
I'm surprised that he's going to be there every week.
Cade Higday, Tyler Groendyke, Emilio Hoover, Luke Nellis, Kurt Muller, Ryan Levitt, Aaron Reitzel taking laps around the track last night in his 360 car, and Jake Deal. I didn't see the McCarls there last night. Of course, they don't need, Brian Brown and the McCarls, do they really need practice laps at Knoxville?
They don't need any practice up there.
Of course, Austin McCarl, he's the champion the last 2 years of the 410. But, we had Austin on our show here a few weeks back, and he was maybe not going to be at Knoxville every week. He's going to go out and, expand his horizons a little bit out there, check some other races out, kind of be like what Brian Brown has done, be there a lot, but maybe not every week. I don't know.
Aaron Reitzel's got a shot to win last.
Yeah. Hey, Carson McCarl had a good night last week at Knoxville, didn't he?
Right.
He qualified well, finished up, had a good finish up there.
Driving the 88 car.
Well, Austin drives the 88 car. I think Carson McCarl's who I was talking about.
What number does he drive?
Driving the, the 6? He's going to go for championships this year. Carson McCarl at Knoxville. We know that. So, anyway, those were some of the names that were at the practice session up at the Knoxville Raceways. I was looking down through the finishing order for the Outlaws last Saturday night, and just there was a lot of guys that didn't even make the show.
Right.
It was shocking who did well and who didn't. Donnie Schatz had a bad qualifying effort. He qualified 25th in the first round of the A round of qualifying, and really ruined his night. And he got into the A main and hit the wall, but he was still able to get his car fixed and back out on the racetrack for a fairly decent finish. But and then Carson McCarl was the other guy who really didn't have a good night up there last week either. He also crashed in the A main and was not able to get his car back out on the racetrack, but is looking down through the finishing order last Saturday night. Rico holding off Kyle Larson for the win with Logan Schuart in third. And I'm happy to see how well Logan Schuart is running in that 1S car.
Right.
And, he was still running fairly solid again last night out at Jacksonville. But Logan Schuart, with his new crew chief Kyle Pruitt, has really turned things around with that Shark Racing 1S car, I think.
What do you think about Rico running 30 laps? Do you think he would have got him?
We'll never know, will we? You mean if Kyle Larson would have got 30 laps,
right,
would he have gotten Rico? One will never know, will we? Why do people bring that up? If it had been 30 laps, Kyle Larson would have beat him. Well, the fact is it was 25 laps, and Rico won. So that's that. Rico won it fair and square.
Don't be so crude, Kirk.
Well, I mean, if and buts were candy and nuts, we'd all have a Merry Christmas, right? Kyle Larson just got beat. Rico just did a better job. As we pointed out a little bit earlier, Sunshine, who we're going to have on Monday's show, finished in fourth place. Aaron Reitzel had a good run at Knoxville. And, you're talking about Aaron Reitzel. He's won 2 high-limit races here within the last month or so, and he has got things running pretty well with that Ridge & Sons number 87 car. Aaron Reitzel, you talk about championship contenders on the high-limit side. I think you got to put Aaron Reitzel into the mix. Now, Brad Sweet is the heavy favorite. We know that. But I think if you look at championship contenders on that high-limit racing course, Tyler Courtney finished second. I think you got to throw Aaron Reitzel into the mix, don't you?
I would agree with that, Kirk.
So a good, solid fifth-place finish. David Gravel, 6th. Giovanni Scelzi, 7th. He's been running well at Knoxville recently. Austin McCarl, 8th. Brad Sweet 9th, and Emerson Axum rounds out the top 10 at the Knoxville Raceway last Saturday night. The other guy I'm kind of keeping my eye on the World of Outlaws side is Cole Macedo in that 2C car. Wayne Johnson. I was down there hanging out around the 2C car a little bit in the pits the other night, and they've got a pretty good setup down there. Wayne Johnson doing a great job as a crew chief. Cole Macedo, that was a good choice picking Cole Macedo to ride that car, don't you think?
I would agree with you on that one, Kurt.
And we had Wayne Johnson on the show here a few weeks back, and he was high on Hank Davis, who he had mentored in the ASCS side last year, but he said Hank just wasn't ready for the World of Outlaws. Cole Macedo is. And I was watching Cole Macedo around that car, and he does a lot of work on that car himself. Cole Macedo just doesn't stand around in his driver's suit watching what's going on. He helps out on that race car.
Emerson Axum is leading the points. He's got a 14-point lead over Austin McCarl and 37-point lead over Blackjack Brian Brown.
Now, what are you looking at? Points for what?
Knoxville points.
Well, we haven't even run a race yet. Have we? Or are you talking last year? We've not even had a race at Knoxville yet.
It says
tonight's the first night.
It says 2025 right up there, Kirk.
Well, that's we haven't had a race yet at Knoxville. Do they count? No, I think they count points for the World of Outlaws, don't they?
They do.
You're right. They count track points for the World of Outlaws, so there is some points, isn't there?
Carson McCarl is 52 points back. Ryan Timms is 64 points back.
I forgot about
Kerry
that.
Madsen is 65 points back. J.J. Hickel is 65 points back as well.
That's right. You're right about. I forgot about that. They count points for the World of Outlaws last week for the local track points. So, how about that? But Emerson Axum, didn't he run full time on the World of Outlaws? Or he has been.
He has.
But was Emerson Axum at the World of Outlaws at Jacksonville last night?
I'm not sure if he was or not. What do you say, Kirk?
I'm going to check that out right now. I was going down through the final results at Knoxville last night, and that you bring up a good point right there. If Emerson Axum is, come out of there with the kind of finish that he had at Knoxville last Saturday night, would he stay and run the weekly races at Knoxville? And the answer to that is no. He was at Jacksonville last night. So he's still a full-time World of Outlaw guy. Qualified 27th at the World of Outlaws race last night at Jacksonville.
So they count the World of Outlaw points.
Well, it's kind of a points battle with the guys that have committed to run the weekly shows at Knoxville every week still run for points even if the Outlaws are in town. So that's the point standings that you're reading right there. But Emerson Axum is still a full-time World of Outlaw driver, so he's not going to be the points champion at Knoxville.
Why not?
Because he's going to race World of Outlaws full-time. He was at Jacksonville last night.
All right. We're going to do Jason Reed right now.
Let's talk to the general manager, Knoxville
Are you
Raceway.
ready, Todd?
Yes, sir.
Great guy. We had him on our Monday Mostly Motorsports show and talking about last weekend's big night at Knoxville and season opener tonight at the Knoxville Raceway. Hear from earlier in the week, a conversation with the general manager at Knoxville Raceway, Jason Reed.
Were you a little surprised that Blackjack Brian Brown won around Kyle Larson in that heat race?
Yeah, I was. I mean, I was glad to see it. But yeah, I was watching. Was able to see that, and I thought, man, he's got a pretty good head of steam up. He might be able to drive by him. And then I was shocked that he was, and then able to hold him off even too after when the caution came out and he got a restart. I thought, oh, now Brownie's going to have his hands full, but he was still able to fend him off. That was good. I think that got the crowd a little jacked up. So good to see.
That might have cost Kyle the chance to win that race.
Yeah, it really did. Yeah, because that cost him. I mean, I guess he could have started 8th in the dash, but I imagine he would have passed a few cars there. It probably cost him at least 2 or 3 rows, of starting the feature. So yeah, that was a big swing. Could have been from putting on the front row to starting in the 5th row. So yeah, big change there.
You know, a really big surprise was J.J. Hickle winning that B main. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, I was excited to see him team up with Matt Morrow. I talked to him back in January or something, and I asked him what his plans was, and he said, I'm going to have a 410 car there this year too. And I was like, oh, really? And then he told me that he'd hired J.J. Hickle to drive it. He goes, but kind of keep that under your hat for right now. He said, we haven't got everything completely done yet, but I think J.J., he always seems like he can get around here pretty good, it seems like, and Matt always has really good equipment. So I think those, and with Matt's knowledge of the track and J.J. too, that team could be pretty good by the time we get to August.
Would you say that's the biggest night in April that we've ever seen at Knoxville Raceway?
Well, it's the biggest night in several years for sure. That's the first time we've got a race in April for several years. So yeah, it turned out good.
Yeah, I mean, the weather just it didn't, not so much on Friday. It was kind of a heavy mist in the air all day, just wouldn't go away. But I think everybody was surprised the sun came out on Saturday night. It really turned out to be a great night, didn't it?
Yeah, I was really happy that the sun came out Saturday morning. I was like, man, I hope this just stays out all day. And it kind of pretty much did. It kind of was overcast a little bit, but the sun stayed out after that fiasco Friday night. Like I said, you said the heavy mist. And it, like when you're looking at radar, it was never showing anything on radar, but we were definitely getting it. So, yeah, we didn't have that planned for Friday, but it all worked out Saturday. Had a really good ended up with a really good racetrack and a good race.
Were you really bummed out about Friday night?
Yes, this is my third season in this position, and so this is we've been trying to get it in every year. And the first 2 years we didn't get either night in, so we got one night in this year. So I guess we're going in the right direction. But yeah, I've always thought, man, if we can ever hit the weather like this would be a good weekend. Everybody been around this area been cooped up all winter. They want to get the campers out and come out and have spend the weekend. So if we can just hit a really good weekend temperature-wise, I think it'll be huge.
We've got a spot up at the North Campground that we buy all year round, and we left our trailer up there as well.
Yeah, we got a lot of people to do that. I don't know, we've probably got like close to 150 that leave them there all year up at North Campground, and then we got a few here at the racetrack also. So yeah, well that's good to when you see all those people coming in and hanging out all weekend, and that's why we like to try to get one of these big shows in 2-night World of Outlaw race one of these years, and hopefully next year will be the year we get both days and we get about 70 or 75 degree temperature.
How important is it to have such a great crowd? You had a great crowd Saturday night leading into the start of the regular season. If you can get Mother Nature to cooperate, that's got to give you a lot of momentum, does it not?
Yes. The crowd was better than I anticipated on Saturday night because it still wasn't the warmest, but the sun was coming out and helping, and I think everybody will be. But yeah, to be able to get this event in, kind of kick off the season and get people fired up. There was a lot of people that I talked to around here Saturday and Saturday night, staying at the campground or whatever, that were really happy to be here. And there was there were several new people that I talked to, that was their first time here or whatever, but they said they were coming back. So that's great. We've tried, some new marketing tactics this year, working with some different things, working with a couple of hockey teams in the Des Moines area and stuff, just trying to drag some new fans down here and expose them to sprint car racing and hoping making lifelong fans out of them.
Well, I will say this. I'm a huge fan of Knoxville weekly racing, that you don't have to have the big stars like we saw last Saturday night to enjoy great 410 and 360 racing, and the 305s there too at Knoxville. I mean, these guys put on a hell of a show every Saturday night, the regulars.
Yeah, that is very true. And that's what I had some people, I said, "Will you come this week?" "No, it's the Outlaws." I'm like, "Well, that's the best." Well, heck, you can see a great show next week for $15, So they put on a great show every week. We're fortunate enough that we have some guys that race 410 here weekly with us that do some traveling. That could probably be on a traveling series, but they're close to home here. We keep our purse good enough that they can make some money, doing it that way. So very fortunate to be able to have those kind of guys here every week. And then, this is kind of early in the year for having people dropping in like we, to race our weekly show. Usually we see that later June and July, but to have some of those traveling guys dropping in on our weekly shows too, that's good for us getting some more people here and gives our weekly competitors to make sure they're on their A game, that they got to try to keep up with those guys. So, no, we're very fortunate.
The Duncans have done such a great job with that racetrack all the years. Did they do anything in the off season to the racetrack?
Oh yeah, Chris. He's methodical on that. He last year at the end of the year he tears it all up. Kind of like a deep tears it up there and lets it kind of sit all winter. But then it was probably the first week of February. Maybe he was already out there at the maintainer. He blades all the snow off of it so it doesn't sit there and melt and puddle up on the track. He gets it all bladed down to the inside by the drain so it wouldn't melt in there. So yeah, he starts working on it in February. Then in March, I don't know how many, we got the new tractors for the sheep's foot stuff, and within 4 or 5 hours of getting those, they were already out there running, packing the track, getting it all, after he tears it off, getting the hard base back in it, doing that, and he started adding water probably to it late March, April, getting some water in the ground. So it was there. Now Chris does a great job. Him and his crew, they can figure out, what needs to be done. Chris takes great pride in it to make sure he tries to give the best track he ever has, and I would say 95% of the time he hits it. So, dealing with weather and cars and, different car count and everything, he does an incredible job. I'm very proud of what those guys can do.
Yeah, I don't think a lot of people really understand the amount of hours that it takes to maintain a dirt track, and especially one like Knoxville.
Right, yeah, that's what a lot of people I don't think understand. But, Chris works a full-time job beside this, so it's not like he can just be out here piddling around all week. But, they're by, just depending on the weather, if it's hot and dry all week, by Tuesday or Wednesday, they're already out in the evenings working on it, putting water on it and packing it and getting ready for Saturday. Or if we do some track rentals on Friday night, so they're getting ready for that. But, yeah, those guys put in a lot of hours and do great work.
You're going to have a practice session on Friday night this week. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, we had a practice last week on Thursday night, where we just limited to the 410 cars because we were racing just 410s last week. And just, we wanted to try out everything, make sure everything was going to work. So we're going to do another one this weekend on Friday night. So our Pro Series drivers and 360 guys that haven't had any laps yet this year, give them a chance to get on there, try their stuff out, make sure everything's working. And then we'll be ready to kick off the regular season Saturday night.
And, of course, we got 3 classes, 410s, 360s, and the Pro Series, right?
Yep. And, of those 3, we've got a few new pro drivers that have signed up this year. So we've got a few new ones there. And then we have some new 360 rookies, and we've had some 360 guys that jumped up to 410. So yeah, we've got some new people in every class, and I think it'll be another great year.
What is the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum? What's it do for the racetrack?
Oh, they're great for the racetrack. We have it's their own separate business, but we work great together, and so it brings income through the suites to the racetrack too. We got a partnership deal on that. But then Bob and his crew, they just do such a great job of promoting Knoxville, inviting people to Knoxville. So they do great on that end. And then also, we always have, or I've found in the last few years, I have different marketing classes, even some college classes, a few high school classes that like to come, and tour the facility. And so Bob and I, we take them through, I take them through upstairs and do some things, showing them around, showing them the press box and all that stuff, and then talk to them about marketing with all the billboards and sponsor that. But then we also take them over to the Hall of Fame, and Bob, he's more than welcome to let them go through the Hall of Fame. They give them a tour there and talk there. So we work very well together. We go to do some trade shows in the off season together, share some booths, promote each other. It's just a very good working relationship.
When you think of August, we obviously think of Knoxville, and of course everything gears towards that. But you got a lot of big things coming up before we get to that point. Just kind of talk about some of the big events that you got coming up on the schedule. I know you got the non-wing cars, USAC coming back in the weekend of the Hall of Fame, and the Outlaws are coming back in June. Just kind of talk about the regular season that begins this weekend.
Yeah, we kick off our regular season this week, but then as I was looking through the schedule here last week when we was looking at things, we basically got a bigger event every month this year. The way the calendar fell out, a lot of times that USAC race ends up the first week in June, but the way the calendar is this week, it's actually the last week of May 30th, 31st. We'll be having the non-wing cars here, plus the 360s on Friday night, then our wing cars on Saturday night, our 410 wing cars, and then that coincides with the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame Museum having their induction banquet on that Saturday afternoon also, so that'll be good. And then, like you said, the Outlaws, they'll be back June 13th and 14th for that rate one more time before we get to the Nationals. And then, of course, that rolls us right into the end of July, the 360 Nationals this year. The way the calendar falls, they actually start in July, so July 31st through August 1st will be the 360 Nationals. And then roll right into the Cappy and then the 410 Nationals and finish it off with the late models in September. So, yeah, we basically for every month now we got at least a 2-day show every month.
There he is, Jason Reed, General Manager at Knoxville Raceway, talking about the 2025 season at the World Capital of Sprint Car Racing. Tonight is on for opening night of the regular season up there. You brought up the point standings up there a little bit ago, talking about Emerson Axum coming out of last week's World of Outlaw race as the weekly point leader, but he's not going to run all the races at Knoxville.
He's going to run
full-time World of Outlaw.
He's going to run full-time World of Outlaws.
Yeah.
Right?
And I was looking down the line there, and I'm not sure. Austin McCarl, we've seen it where Brian Brown's won the championship without attending all the races up there. And, Austin McCarl could probably do the same.
Right.
So even if he doesn't attend all the races, either one of those two guys have proven that, they can still win it all. But I'm thinking Austin's brother Carson, who, by the way, is the 27 car. I got that wrong a little bit ago. He drives the 27 car, Carson McCarl. I think he's got a pretty good shot at it this year. Ryan Timms looks like he's going to be racing up there every week in the 10 car. He's got a shot. Terry Madsen in the 55. J.J. Hickle will be there every week. And, Parker Price Miller, he was up there last week.
Right.
Sawyer Phillips and Riley Goodnow in that order up there.
So, you want to get into the Connor Wade interview?
Let's do it. Connor Wade is the pit reporter for the World of Outlaws coverage on DirtVision.com. We saw him at work last night at Jacksonville. Tonight he'll be at Tri-State Speedway in Hobstadt, Indiana. And we spoke with Connor Wade on Monday, giving us a wrap-up of everything that went on in the World of Outlaws night at Knoxville Raceway. Here is Connor Wade from earlier this week on Mostly Motorsports.
Man, that was a big victory for Rico, wasn't it?
It was. I mean, just a great night of racing at Knoxville overall. I hate we didn't get the first night in, but, yeah, I was happy to see Rico go to victory lane. He had kind of started the year out. I don't think slow is the right word because by a lot of people's standards, it would have been a great year. He had a couple of top fives, but I'd missed the top 10 a couple of nights, both, with the high limit shows he ran. And, it seemed like he'd kind of started to figure things out the second night at Peevely. 2 weekends ago, he'd qualified better and ran top 5 and then, comes back to Knoxville and built off of that at a place that he's been really good at the last couple of years. Dominated the Capitani Classic last year. He's sat on the front row of the Nationals. I think it was 2023 is when he did that. So, that's just been a place that he's gotten around pretty good, and seems like he's going to be tough to beat there this year whenever we go back in June and come Nationals time as well. And I think he's going to be with us at least at Jacksonville Friday this coming weekend. I don't know about Saturday, so good to see him kind of get rolling and get that first win of the year.
I think Saturday is going back to Knoxville, I think.
Yeah, I think so too.
Hey, Marie Beasley, she said if that was a 30-lap race, Kyle Larson would have won that race. What do you think?
Yeah, he probably would have. From the drop of the green, coming from ninth, he was moving forward, and honestly, if it was a 26-lap race, he might have won it. So, kind of ran out of time there. I really didn't think there was anything Larson could have done better. I think, quite honestly, he just needed more time. 25 laps at Knoxville. It sounds like a long race just because it's a half mile, but it really isn't a whole lot. There were a couple times maybe he could have been, hit the bottom a little better in traffic, but I mean that's kind of nitpicky. I thought he ran a pretty perfect race.
Well, how big was that when
did a nice job getting up to second? So it was fun to see him come forward like he always does. Puts on a show.
Well, how big was that when Brian Brown passed him in the heat race for that transfer into the dash?
Yeah, that was a fun battle. Brian just kind of got the better of him. Both of them have plenty of laps there, so I'm not going to sit here and say that it's because Brian knows the place better or has ran there longer or what. But Brian just kind of got the better of them there. They seemed pretty equal, and it would impress me how the track promoted great racing early on in the night, especially in the heat races. I'll be the first to just come out and say it. I feel like Knoxville last year wasn't the best in terms of track conditions that we saw really all year, at least in big races. Whenever we were there in June, it was weird. It was really dry and almost took rubber one night. Did take a little rubber one night. And then we go there in August, and of course the weather was different than it usually is in August. But, the track was so wet that guys could barely pass the whole weekend. So I think for Knoxville to come out and have a really racy surface and the track to kind of come out swinging in the first race of the year is a really good sign. So I think we're going to be in for some really good shows at Knoxville this year, both whenever the Outlaws go back in June and for the Nationals. But, not just those two, 360 Nationals and the Cappy and all the great weekly shows they have there all season long. So I'm excited to go back in June. I thought we saw a great racetrack.
Blackjack Brian Brown, he was on bookends. Rico Abreu finished first, and Kyle Larson ended up running third. How about that?
Or second. Larson was second.
Yeah, Larson was second, and Logan Schuhart was third. So good to see Logan kind of string up some consistency together too.
I'm talking about the heat race.
Reitzel led a little bit early, and Reitzel's going to be tough at Knoxville this year too. He's still really quick. Schuhart seems to be good on restarts. It's kind of when he got by Reitzel, I said that backwards. Schuhart seems to be good in traffic. That's when he got backed by Larson there for the third spot and was in fourth at one point, or not by Reitzel. I can't talk today. Hunted over from Easter, I guess, but no. Schuhart was good in lap traffic, not by Reitzel there to get back to third, and good to see him running good too.
Oh, you meant the heat race, Scott. You were talking about the heat race.
I was talking about the heat race.
I got you. Well, but there was a lot of guys, Connor, that didn't make the show. A couple of them had to take provisionals. Donnie Schatz had to run the C-Main, the non-qualifiers race, because he only qualified 25th in Group A. But he had to run the non-qualifiers race, had to come out of the C, finished 11th in the B, and use a provisional for the A main. And then he got caught up in a crash not of his own doing. Not a good night for Donnie Schatz.
Not at all, but you mentioned about guys that are big names that either had to take provisional or miss the feature. That's just kind of what we see at Knoxville. The place is hard enough to begin with, and kind of a wild card and an equalizer. And then you throw in the fact that we had 65 cars, and that was a national, quality field. I feel like, Kofoy took provisional, Sheldon took a provisional, Donnie, like you said. There were some fast cars I felt like that, didn't even make it out of the LCS. Darren Pittman didn't even make it out of the C. Some other guys, too, that you would kind of expect to be in the show Pursley, I know they had problems in both races, but they didn't make it out of the C either. It's just kind of how Knoxville is. It can be a really tough place to get around no matter how good you are anywhere else. And when the field is that tough, and if you get a bad pill draw, then your night is going to be pretty tough.
Well, what you got to do is do like Carson McCarl did. Carson McCarl had a great qualifying effort and set him up for the rest of the night.
He did, yeah. It was good to see him make his first career dash with the Outlaws. Obviously, Terry has he won some outlaw races back in the day. Austin's probably going to win some outlaw races at some point. He's had some good runs, and it's good to see Carson kind of get in the mix as well. I know that Knoxville Raceway means a ton to the McCarls.
What happened in that incident between the Macedos there and the Parker? I know Parker Price Miller was involved in the shots incident, but what happened there between Carson and Cole Macedo, and who was the other guy trying to go 3 wide down on the front straightaway?
Yeah, I don't exactly remember. I remember there were a couple times I think that Carson about wrecked whenever he got caught up at the back of the field. The front end on that car was broken, and that's why they couldn't get back out. So that's a tough break. He's back to third in points, and he's now 100 points behind David Ravel. So that's a huge blow to his season, unfortunately. So hopefully he can kind of come back better and cut into that point lead a little bit, make it interesting again. Of course, Schuhart's still in front of him too. So they came to the work area, and it looked like at first they just had to change the nose wing, but when they got down there, they quickly realized that they had more problems than that. The axle was broken too, so they got close to getting the change, but couldn't make it back out.
Who was the car that flipped down the back straightaway?
Was it
Connor?
Say it again, Scott.
The car that flipped on the back straightaway, Tasker Phillips was one of them, wasn't he? Got flipped
Tasker
by Brad
Phillips,
Sweet.
Yeah, and Brad, we interviewed Brad after the heat race, and he was pretty apologetic. Thought he had a little bit more room than he had, and just came down and obviously wasn't clear. So hate that for Tasker. He had a career year last year to Tasker, and for him to start out the year like that's tough. And I know he was frustrated with Brad, but Brad just kind of owned up to it and admitted it. So I respected Brad for doing that, and hopefully something like that doesn't happen again to Brad or Tasker.
What are some of the other big things that you took out of Knoxville? We only got one night in, but what are some of the other things we haven't already talked about that you walk away from the big night?
David Ravel looked pretty good. I think he was able to gain some positions. I thought Giovanni Selzy looked pretty good, even though he lost a couple spots in the feature. I was impressed with how Gio raced in the heat race and was really aggressive there with Carson McCarl whenever they were going at it for the lead. So, I thought the 2C Cole Macedo looked good. That was, definitely a big test for them going back to the half miles after they really struggled at Volusia. They qualified significantly better and made the feature and ended up, I think, 13th. So, that was cool to see. I thought, honestly, all the rookies looked, a couple of the rookies, Williamson made the feature. Chris Wyndham, they did a nice job at Knoxville, a place that's pretty tough. And, Wyndham especially kind of had some struggles on half miles earlier in the year too. So I thought, like I said, the racing was just honestly the biggest thing that stood out to me. I thought the track promoted good racing all weekend, slide jobs. It got pretty slick. Could run the bottom, but the top was good too. And that just kind of left me excited for going back in June and the Nationals.
What excites me on a cold night, they ran the program right through, and we got out of there at a pretty decent hour with 65 cars. I thought it was a great show in terms of the way it was run. And there was no breaks, and we got through it.
Hey, 9:35 is when we got out of there.
Yeah, they did a nice job, and it was cold too, so I'm sure everybody appreciated getting out early.
All right, let's move ahead. Next weekend, Jacksonville and Tri-State Speedway. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, so last year, first off, this could be, and we need a little help from Mother Nature, but this could be the best weekend in sprint car racing this year. These are two incredible racetracks. Jacksonville last year, to start with it was the race of the year. I think every outlaw race there has just been incredible. I have loved going to Jacksonville ever since I was a kid. I've seen midgets, I've seen winged sprint cars, I've seen non-winged sprint cars, I've seen micros. Everything races good at Jacksonville, and it always puts on a great show. And the people there are huge race fans. It doesn't matter if it's an outlaw sprint car race or a MOA sprint car race or what it is. That place is always packed, and the fans are super loud. It's just a great atmosphere. And honestly, any race you go to at Jacksonville is just a blast. And then, last year it was the race of the year. And, just kind of the way it's laid out. It's honestly, if I'm being honest, it's too small for sprint cars. But our guys really make it work and put on a badass show. It's like it's one of those, it's on the border of, it's just a little bit too small, but it can still be really good. David Ravel won a great battle there with Kyle Larson last year, and we're expecting another race of the year candidate. And then Hobstadt, it's a world famous paperclip there in southern Indiana, long straightaways and really tight corners. It's always usually pretty juiced up the entire track. Sometimes I feel like there's not so much, there's usually a cushion, but like the bottom is just as good as the cushion is. I feel like lots of times, and guys that can get through the middle there too, can usually do pretty well. Hobstadt's my favorite track in the country. It has been since I was 9 years old. I think the racing there is incredible, whether it's non-winged or winged sprint cars. And I used to go there back when I lived in Illinois before I was on the Outlaw Tour. I would go to Hobstadt almost every race of the year. There were usually 2 or 3 that I missed, but I set my schedule to be able to make it to almost every Hobstadt race. And now I get to go once a year. So it's the one day a year that I get to go to my favorite track, and I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a great weekend. People, honestly, since the schedule came out in November, I've heard people talking about this specific weekend. So I think as a sprint car fan, there's really nothing more you could ask for.
The other guy that is loves Tri-State Speedway, and is probably his favorite track too, is Brady Bacon. I'm sure he's looking forward to this Saturday night.
Yeah, Brady's won with the Outlaws there the last 2 years. And, he's a non-wing guy that has always ran with the Outlaws at Hobstadt. I remember some races there back in the day, that he was running his own 99 car and ran good. And at the time, Brady was not an established wing driver, was more of a non-wing guy. But, he still ran good, and it was always cool to see that one time a year that he was a threat with the greatest show on dirt. And now he's pretty much the favorite to win at Hobstadt. So I think it's pretty cool. I think, the track is kind of an equalizer because it, kind of favors those non-wing guys a little bit. It's pretty technical. It's very car dependent. So it's always fun to see Brady run a wing car anywhere these days. He's gotten so good at it. He's pretty much a full-time wing guy now. I know he still does some non-wing stuff, but he was in Pennsylvania last weekend. But I love Hobstadt. I love the one day a year we get to race there, and seeing the couple non-wing guys. I don't know what non-wing guys are going to run this year. I would assume maybe like Kyle Cummins, who's really good there in a non-wing car. I don't know what KTJ's plans are, but it just seems like it's the one night a year when some of those non-wing guys have a shot. I saw Critter Malone one time run, I think, top 10 with the Outlaws at Hobstadt, so that was pretty cool. It's just you never know what you're going to see there, and Brady's going to have a big target on his back Saturday night for sure.
Then you got Eldora Speedway the next weekend. They're pretty excited about that.
Yeah, let's race too. Wing and non-wing sprint cars. One of my favorite weekends of the year. I get to obviously cover the Outlaws and then sit back and watch non-wings. So it's another track that, Eldora, whether it's wing or non-wing there, it's always badass. So that'll be a cool weekend, and then we go to PA after that. So I'm sure Pennsylvania fans are excited to see the Outlaws take on the Posse for the first time this year. So it's going to be a really good month, or a really good couple of months with the Outlaws. Obviously we start getting into big races in June and July, but our April and May schedules are really cool too. So this year has started off great. Obviously we've got a great group of guys running our tour. We're seeing a lot of engagement with fans at the track and on social media. And, it's a really good time to be a fan of the Outlaws.
Connor Wade joining us there.
Connor Wade is one of the best pit reporters. What do you think, Kurt?
Does a great job. We'll see him tonight on Dirt Vision's coverage at Hobstadt. What do you think about Brady Bacon? He got primed last night to try to do it again at Hobstadt. He's won the last 2 World of Outlaws races at Hobstadt, And he finishes second last night to Kyle Larson at Jacksonville. You think Brady is licking his chops for tonight after the way he ran last night?
I think he is.
I think so.
Brady Bacon is one of the most talented drivers in the country.
Absolutely.
Would you believe that?
And he's focusing more on the Wing 410 cars this year. Not going to run full-time on the USAC tours, concentrating more on his 410 Wing Sprint cars. But he's having a good weekend so far. No question about that. I was interested, and Connor is so right about Jacksonville Speedway. That is a very exciting racetrack. And last night, Kyle Larson put on a show. When you have Carson Macedo standing down there after the race last night, and he shakes his head and says, I don't know how Kyle did that. I don't know how he did what he just did. That's saying something.
Right.
About the talent of Kyle Larson, because he has had it set on kill last night. No question about that.
What was the shocker is that Carson Macedo got outrun by Brady Bacon.
Yeah, I think everybody was surprised. And Brady just passed him, got around him.
Right.
And Brady is so good on those kinds of racetracks. He's been around Jacksonville Speedway many a times. And so and Hobstad, he knows those tracks very well.
Kirk, were you surprised that Donnie Schatz run 10th?
After last week, I think it's still a work in progress with those Chevrolet motors. They shelved the Ford engines for a while, but the weight on those Ford engines heavier than the Chevrolet motors. So getting the balance of the race cars right, I think still going to be a work in progress for Donnie.
He started 12th and ended up running 10th.
Yeah. Well, in these races, you got to qualify well. You got to start off the night by getting yourself in the dash. That's the most important thing.
Let me tell you something. Cole Macedo driving the 2C car, he's doing a great job.
Yeah.
He ended up running 8th last night.
Yeah, and we talked about that a little bit earlier. He and Wayne Johnson are working well together, and I think Wayne's got to be pleased with what Cole's done in that car so far, don't you think?
Hey, Garrett Williamson, he started 5th and he ended up running 7th.
And he's full-time World of Outlaws guy this year, too. So he's out there doing a good job on the Outlaws Tour. Very talented young driver. Hey, before we go, I just want to mention that the Malvern Bank Late Model Series got its season started last night up at the Scotland County Speedway up in Memphis, Missouri last night. Dylan Thornton wins the feature event. Now, tonight they're going to be at the Off-Road Speedway in Norfolk, Nebraska. This will be the Malvern Bank West Series. And then next weekend's big weekend around the Kansas City area for the Malvern Bank Late Model Series.
They're going to CMS.
And before that, they're going to be at the Electric City Speedway in Butler, Missouri next Friday night, then go to Central Missouri Speedway on Saturday night. I think you and I both better be down there for that, don't you think? So we're planning on being down there next Saturday night at Central Missouri Speedway. Now, tonight at CMS, they're having 305 sprint cars on the card. 305 sprint cars.
Did they run 305s last night at Lakeside?
No. I was confused when you and I were talking last night. I saw where somebody was running 305 sprints, and for some reason I had Lakeside on my mind. It was CMS that I was thinking about. That they're running 305 sprint cars tonight down there at Central Missouri Speedway. So check it out. A couple of other items. I-35 Speedway, they start early tonight. 6 o'clock will be the races, so you better get there early for that. Valley Speedway still on for tonight. And Lucas Oil Speedway back in action tonight, too. They were supposed to have that Enduro over Easter weekend last week. That got rained out, but they're back in business tonight. And also tonight, we're going to be watching the Honest Abe Roofing Power I-410 Outlaw Sprints down at Tri-State Speedway in Pensacola. We'll see that on Start to Finish TV. And I think Flow Racing has a couple of races tonight. Lucas Oil Late Model Series at Hagerstown Speedway. And we'll also be watching the World of Outlaws on Dirt Vision tonight from Tri-State Speedway in Hobstadt.
Is Knoxville going to be on Dirt Vision?
Dirt Vision.
Yep.
Yep. So you'll be able to watch that tonight as well. So a lot of choices out there, a lot of options for you. The NASCAR Cup Series cars are supposed to be. We don't have the Prime Video where we can pull it up, but I think they're on the racetrack down at Talladega. They got the World of Outlaw late models rained out last night across the street at the Talladega short track, so I'm not exactly sure what the weather is doing down there, but they're scheduled to be on the track as we speak at Talladega right now. So I'll be watching that Xfinity race at 3:00 this afternoon on the CW network, and got a lot of racing going on tonight around the country. Port Royal, that's the other race I was going to think of. The Keith Kaufman Memorial pays $15,000 to win tonight at Port Royal Speedway, and I'm going to be tuned in on that on Flow Racing. So that is a big race, and of course I'm going to be anxious to see how Ashton Torgerson does in the 1A car at Port Royal Speedway tonight. Don't crash it, Austin.
Right.
Ashton. Don't wreck it. Would that be the message that you say to Ashton as he straps? That's a lot of pressure on that young man, don't you think?
I believe there's a lot of pressure on Ashton Torgerson.
I think the message is to him is bring it home in one piece. Don't try to do more than you're capable of doing. Try to bring it home in one piece.
Right.
Bobby Allen, I didn't realize this, he's 81 years old.
How about that?
Of course, that's Jacob's father. Logan is Bobby Allen's grandson. So Jacob is the uncle of Logan Schuchart.
Right.
And Jacob, he's trying to help his dad out. He's more in a managerial role now that he's decided to step out of the seat of the race car. Do you think that maybe Jacob has any second thoughts at all about stepping out of that race car?
No, I don't.
After what's happened? I heard him say the other night that he was afraid of crashing. Well, if you're afraid of crashing, that's the time to get out.
Right.
But he's only 30 years old. So
awful young to be retiring from racing.
But now the biggest challenge is trying to find the right driver. And now Ashton Torgerson he's only committed for this weekend. That's what I'm told. So, but last night rained out at Williams Grove Speedway, so he's got 2 chances this weekend to show what he can do. Port Royal and Baps Motor Speedway tomorrow. That's probably the biggest thing I'm interested in seeing is the 1A car tonight and see how that goes.
How do you think he's going to do, Kurt?
I don't know. It's going to be fascinating to watch. Just don't try to do more than you're capable of doing.
Right.
I think the criticism that Jacob Allen had, and probably his father too had, of Cale Thomas was he tried to overdrive it a little bit, maybe try to do too much. Because Jacob Allen made the comment on a show the other night that it looked like he was going to wreck on every lap.
Right.
That's what made him nervous. Because, he was passing Lance DeWeese for position when he crashed at Williams Grove Speedway. He hit that water barrel on the back straightaway, and, the car flipped over and caught fire, and Danny Dietrich bailed him out of the race car. But he was passing. He was on the outside between the wall and Lance DeWeese. He tried to go around the outside and got a little bit too wide and hit that water barrel.
Right.
They probably weren't happy about that, but nobody saw what happened at Lincoln Speedway of how that crash occurred. But either way, Jacob and his father not happy with how Cale Thomas was trying to do a little bit too much in that car too soon, and he was told, make sure you don't take any extra, let's ease into this a little bit. And I think Cale was, and he was fast. Cale Thomas was fast in that car.
Right.
They won a heat race earlier that night at Williams Grove Speedway, but I guess when you're the owners and your driver tears up a lot of equipment, that's going to give you second thoughts about your driver.
Right.
And Cale Thomas didn't have a lot of time to show his stuff there. So the bad part about Cale Thomas in that situation is he'd already turned down a ride for the full-time All-Star Series.
Right.
To take the 1A ride. So I think what I see is that Cale Thomas is going to bring out the family car for a while, but that's really the bad part about it. He turned down a good ride to go for the All-Star Championship in order to take the 1A car, and one weekend it's all over.
It's all over.
So anyway, best of luck to Ashton Torgerson tonight. He's a good young guy. Like I say, we've had him on our show before, but he's got not a lot of experience driving a 410 wing sprint car.
Right. Track Talk is brought to you by Rod End Supply, featuring the POWRi Midwest Lightning Sprints. We want to thank our guests, Zane Smith, Jason Reed, and Connor Wade as well.
Todd, great job as always. We'll be back here on Monday, right?
Yes, sir.
Got Tyler Courtney, Sunshine, scheduled for the show. And so make sure you tune in.
Maybe I'll get some sound tonight up there at Knoxville.
There you go.
Yep.
Let's do it. So have a good weekend. Rest of the weekend, everybody. Are we supposed to see any sunshine at all for the rest of the weekend?
Just chilly.
It's just chilly. Are you tired of the cloudy, dreary, rainy weather we've been having?
Weather?
We haven't seen a lot of sunshine, have we?
No, we haven't.
Let's hope we get some here over the next couple of days. Is it supposed to warm up at all, Todd?
I haven't seen a forecast, to be honest with you, but let's hope so.
All right, we better get out of here.
All right.
Thanks for tuning in, everybody.
Track Talk is brought to you by Rod End Supply, featuring the POWRi Midwest Lightning Sprints. We want to thank our guests, Zane Smith, Jason Reed, and Connor Wade as well. For Todd Surprise, for Kirk Elliott, I'm Scott Traylor saying thanks for joining us. We'll see you next week right here on Track Talk.
Go harder, faster, stronger with Rod End Supply. Whether you are running industrial, farming equipment, or a race car, Rod End Supply has the assortment of rod ends, radius rods, and specialty products that will help you lead the field in performance. Our superior design means our rod ends last longer and perform better, giving you the edge on the track and saving you money. Contact Rod End Supply or order online today at rodendsupply.com. We don't just sell them, we race them. rodendsupply.com. Serving the racing community for over 30 years.